In this video, I'm going to help demystify string and cable twist. This is the first step to understanding how to tune and how to set up your own bow, and so let's dive into it. The first thing you need to understand is you need to understand the direction of your string twist from the factory or from your string maker. If you look at your string, you will see the strands are moving in one direction or the other. They're either twisting around to the left or twisting around to the right. When I talk about twisting or adding a twist to the string, it's twisting it in the same direction that it already is twisted from a strand's perspective. When I talk about untwisting it, I'm talking about twisting it in the opposite direction. With strings too, I'll also talk a lot about half twist. And so when you look at the end of these strings or these cables, you're going to have a little eyelet where it's attaching to your cam or attaching to your module. For me, a half twist is 180 degrees. You're taking that eyelet and you're turning it exactly 180 degrees. A full twist is 360 degrees. And so as you're going through these and as you're getting your setup perfectly dialed, you're going to be doing a series of twists, half twists, full twists, etc. Here's the deal. There's a couple of things that happen when you twist the string, and a couple common scenarios where you're going to want to twist or untwist your string to get a desired result. You may look at twisting or untwisting the string to tune to your axle to axle length, as well as to adjust your peep, right? Or even to adjust your draw weight. So a couple of things that you can do here just to play around as you're really fine-tuning your setup. So let's talk about the easy one. Peep adjustment, and specifically twist in your peep, right? The easiest way to fix a twist or turn in your peep, if that thing is cocked to the side and it's not nice and centered in your string, is to add or remove a twist to the string itself. I typically make my changes on the bottom cam, but essentially one half twist, so a half twist, a 180 degree flip of that eyelet in either direction will generally result in a quarter turn of that peep on the string. If my peep is over to the side here, you can see that I'm facing this way, and I wanted to correct it and pull it this way. How I would do that is I would add a half twist to this bottom cam attachment here. You can see we got this eyelet here where the string's coming in. We would take the string off, do one half twist, and just that, when we reset this string, we'll set that in a better position. So just keep that rule of thumb in mind. Half twist, 1/4 turn on the peep is typically the result. Now, one pro tip here, when you do this and then when you let the pressure off your system, it might not be perfectly straight right away. You got to let things settle. So I always recommend after you make a change, double check everything's set and good to go, draw your bow a few times, go take a few shots at your target, and that's going to make an incredible difference. It'll settle in. If you need to tweak or tune anymore, you'll know right there. Modern compound bows are optimized to a certain axle to axle length, or ATA. So if you look at your bow and you look at your specs, it's going to include an ATA length. This bow in particular, this is a Hoyt AX2 32. That 32 inches is my axle to axle length. And what we mean by axle to axle is if you look on the axles, the pins that are going through the center of your cams, if you measure from the center of each of those axles, that is that axle to axle length that you want. Now, as you can imagine with a compound bow, you have these limbs and this whole system under pressure, and there's flex there, right? So the strings and the cables control how much tension is on those limbs and whether they're bowed in or whether they're let out a little bit. So you can tune that and control that with the string itself, and by either twisting it, which ultimately shortens the string, or untwisting it, which is going to lengthen that string. Before I'm setting up any bow, I always love to make sure that I'm getting everything in spec. And axle to axle is a really good first place to start. So when I get a bow out of the box, I'm going to measure that axle to axle. Let's say this is a 32 and it's measuring 32.5 or 31.5 or something a little bit off. I know that I want to make some adjustments before I start tying in my peep or anything else to get this exactly where I want to be from a spec perspective and from a draw weight perspective. So if you twist your main bowstring, it's going to shorten your axle to axle, and it's going to bring the tips of your limbs in. Now, in most cases, this is also going to decrease your draw weight. So keep that in mind. When we get to the cables, we're going to talk about how you can counteract that. But when you are putting pressure on this outer bowstring and you're bringing the tips of your limb in, you are decreasing the draw weight. So if you're doing quite a bit of twisting or quite a bit of moves, you may have to make adjustments elsewhere to increase that draw weight again, right? So if I'm at a 70-pound bow and I add some twists to the string to bring those limbs in, I'm going to see a little bit of a dip in draw weight because you're putting additional pressure on the ends of those limbs and you're bringing them into a further drawn state. If I untwist the string, the exact opposite. You are going to extend your axle to axle. And on top of that, outside of extending it, you're going to increase your draw weight, right? You're flattening those limbs out, you're letting them out, and you're creating more required pressure and weight to pull that back. Very simple, but keep that in mind because that'll make things a whole lot easier. Now, let's talk about cables, because cables almost have the opposite effect. Cables are anchored in more towards the center line of the limbs. They're coming into the center of the cams and the modules. And so twists and untwists have different effects. So let's talk about two things with cable twists and untwists. The first thing being timing, because this is the most common use case. Your modern compound bows in most cases have cams that need to be in sync. They need to be drawn, hitting their back wall and their stoppers, and then releasing at the exact same time to get the best performance on your bow. So to do that, you need to be able to check timing. Now, how we check timing is we put our bow in a draw board or draw our bow back with somebody watching us. And we want to ensure that the cable stops as they come around. So as you draw your bow, this cam is going to be twisting, and you're going to see those cable stops get close to that cable itself. And then they're going to stop on that cable. We want that to happen at the same time on both ends of your bow, right? If it's not happening at the same time, your bow is out of time. And this is where you know there needs to be an action taken. Now, this one can be really confusing at first, but it's really, really easy. So here's how you do it. If you draw your bow back and both of your cable stops stop at the same time on your cable, you're good to go. Your bow is in time. Move on to the next piece of your tuning journey. Now, if you draw back and either the top or the bottom is hitting late, right? So what I mean by that, let's say that my bottom cam is a little bit behind. What I'm going to see in this draw board, when I draw, my top cam's going to come around. My top cam will be touching the cable, meaning it would have been at my wall, and I'll still have a gap behind my bottom cam. That's how I know I need to tweak that bottom cam and speed that up a little bit, essentially, so that they're both hitting at the same time. Now, this is all you need to remember from this. Whatever cam is behind, you need to put a twist in the opposite cable. So what that means, if my top is good, it's hitting, and my bottom one is behind, I am going to put a twist in my top cable. And the next time you draw it back, you're going to see that the bottom one is now been adjusted. It's a little closer, or it's in time, it's hitting. Now, you'll have to play with this a little bit. What I've seen, it varies from bow to bow. On this bow that I'm working at right now, the Hoyt AX232, one twist in a cable is about 1/8 of an inch of movement. So if I'm 1/8 off, add a twist to the opposite cable, I'm going to be right in sync. But again, you can play with that and find the exact tweak for your bow. But the important thing is the cable that one is supposed to touch is not the one that you twist. You twist the opposite one. So easy day, just keep that in mind. Now, the other thing that you can adjust and manipulate with cables is the draw weight itself. Once the cables are in time, all you have to do is add or reduce twists. In the cable world, it's the exact opposite of the string. If you add twists to the cable, you are increasing your draw weight. One twist, probably 1/2 pound, and you can just keep going from there until you get what you need. Untwisting those cables will reduce your draw weight. So you can tune either way like that. If you follow those simple guidelines, it's really easy to do. Now, you'll see some folks on the YouTubes going a little crazy with this, right? You can really stress the system with this type of setup, right? I can put tons of twists in these cables and take this 70-pound bow and get it to 80, 85, 90 pounds. Your bow is not designed for that. So what I'm talking about is about fine tuning and tweaking within the range of your bow's capability and its spec. Don't go twisting your cables up on a 70-pound bow to make it an 80-pound bow, because you're going to introduce all kinds of other problems down the road. Your limbs are not rated for that kind of weight, etc. You just don't want to do it. So this is staying within the spec of your bow itself. If you want to go all mad scientist and try to make a 100-pound bow do something crazy, fine, have at it. But just know that you're going to potentially create other issues or other dangerous situations with your bow if you go outside of the spec range. Everything I'm talking about is specifically within the defined constraints of your bow and your setup. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. I really enjoy making these videos. So we'll keep them coming, video every Thursday, and we'll see you on the next one.